This is in the streets unfiltered. Your man Xavierbrandon on the MIC with my girl,
Desiiteee.
my man,
Awesome McCall.
and we got the legendary Curtis Daniel from
Patchwerk.
Patchwerk Studios.
Real quick. So when you heard this song come on, you said you did a little.
I just started laughing.
What did you? Oh yeah, a little chuckle. What came to mind when you heard this?
It's a lot. It's a lot. But my daughter's 10, and the other day she said, "Who's the guy you keep talking to, Jeezy?" I've been talking to him probably about 9 times in the last 4 or 5 days or whatever. So we actually, it's one thing that we doing with him that I'm excited about, and I can't say a lot about it, but I'll say that I played it for a couple people that are influential in music, and one of the dudes teared up, and the other dude got emotional. And then when Jeezy heard it, he turned around and he said the hair on his arms was standing up.
Oh,
But
man.
hopefully that will see the light of day one day.
Right.
Yeah, can we listen to
Yeah.
it? At least? Can we listen
Can
to
we
it?
get an exclusive?
Right, I'm trying to hear it.
I feel like I'm in Magic, man.
and then he's working on something else as well. So
Shout out to
you'll
Jeezy.
get something from him before the end of the year. But the thing that we working on is it's gonna be unbelievable. And but just hearing that record, it just brings back memories. You know what I mean? It's kind of like, I don't even know how to explain it, man. Doing this thing for 28 years, and you got all these different things that man, sometimes when you used to hear these records, it make you cry because you think about all the. I always tell people when they did that Versus, and everybody was stressed out. It was real tense in that room and the city and everything.
Yeah.
And it just used to make me think back to be like, man, this is 15, 20 years later. We were literally in the studio when they was at war. One would be in one room and one would be in the other.
Mm.
Yeah,
And we'd
what
have
was
to,
gonna
we
happen?
would have to tell our staff, do not open that middle door.
Mhm.
They didn't know one was in the room and one was in the other. But we was in the rooms when BMF was there and everybody was there with the cars. And so I just was tripping when they was doing the Verses about all the angst and the stressed out of people. And I was like,
This ain't nothing.
yeah, man, it just brought back a lot of memories
Yeah.
because it was like, man, we was all young and it was really going down then. And so it's cool. And then, some of the things I think about is like when I saw him the other day when he walked in, or actually one day he called me in the morning and I was like, man, I never would have thought I'd be talking to you at 8 o'clock in the morning. He's like, man, I get up at 6:30, I work out or whatever. Probably about a month ago, I was having a conversation with Waka about something he called, and it was an opportunity for me to tell him, like, man, I'm proud of you, man. Some of our people, our artists, if they get locked up or they get killed early, I always say you never really get an opportunity to see the man that they could have grown into.
Yeah.
So when you see people like Jeezy that had a chance to grow and mature, get married and stuff like that, you see somebody like Waka, you see somebody like Gucci. I mean, we was with the raw Gucci. You know what I mean? And then, even Tip when he was getting locked up. So you see all these people when they're young and they going through it, and you just kind of pray that they'll be around to reap the reward. So when I hear a record like that, it takes me back to when we was doing them records.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Literally when he was coming to pay me himself. You know what I mean? And being mad because he'd have to lead a video shoot because I would stop his session because they didn't pay. And to what they doing now, it's pretty cool because just going around now with all these podcasts, people are starting to hear stories that we don't tell. I mean, as the
Right.
studio, there's
Yeah.
things that that I can't say or that we aren't permitted to share and do things. If the artists do it, we can pick it up and put it out or whatever. But it's some
Right.
stories, him running around on Drink Champs, and you hearing different stories from Clem and stuff like that. And I just be laughing because they all true.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. If you're just tuning in to News and Talk 1380 WLK, we're talking to the legendary Curtis Daniel of Patchwerk Studios. Last break, we talked about how he has a 5K I Do Music run and walk coming up on Saturday, August 26, 2023. And now we're going to just get into a few stories and stuff. All right, so for those that may be tuning in that are hidden under a rock, that don't know who you are and what you do and what songs you have helped to be instrumental in
worked with.
creating, can you just give them a little brief synopsis of who are you, what you do, and what are the songs that you can say, I did that?
All right, so my name's Curtis Daniel III. I'm one of the 2 owners of Patchwerk Recording Studios. just this week we turned 28 years old. When we first started in 1995, we were owned by Bob Whitfield, and Bob played about 14 years for the Falcons, starting left tackle, was the highest paid offensive lineman in the NFL on 3 different occasions. When we first started in 95, believe it or not, our very first client was Outkast.
Mm-hmm.
And so we worked on we worked on elevators, AT aliens, and all that stuff. And so literally Outkast kind of gave us our credibility, and then we went into the Goody Mob. So if you were to go back and you were to pull up the Soul Food video, anytime that you see purple on the screen and they're in the studio, that is actually our location.
Did you know?
Yeah, man.
You know at the time, like, you was like, all right,
This is it.
these kids,
They gonna be
well,
it.
because Outkast had, we didn't only, they always tell people we only missed their first album because that came out in 93.
Yeah.
We didn't open until 95, but everything since then we had
Has
the
been with
opportunity to
them.
work with them. So by the time we did that second album, we already knew that it was going to be crazy, and was featuring Goody Mob on there.
Mm-hmm.
And then you can kind of tell when something's going to be big and special. I always tell people by the payment.
Mm.
When the record label pay you quick and you don't have no problems, that mean they behind the project and they going to support it. And I always say it kind of evokes a good feeling throughout the project. If the studio get paid, the engineers get paid.
energy just good.
Yeah, the street team gets paid.
There's no
then
tugging
you
and
can-
pulling.
Yeah, you can tell that they supporting that project. And with the Goody Mob, they was 120% behind that.
Do you miss street teams?
Yeah, you see me, I got physical flyers.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
see
feel
you.
that.
You-
I appreciate this a
think
lot.
You doing actual work.
Way back then, these things, it was an overabundance of them, so they didn't garner your attention. Now, you flooded with email and social media that these things stand out.
Mm-hmm,
And I think it's important to be able to touch people and give it to them and be able to have a conversation about it. So I don't have a problem with good street teams, you know what I mean, that did their jobs. Now, it was some street teams that'll take your money, and then you'd get your CDs in the mail 3 weeks later, and they'd be done told you they handed out 3,000 CDs, you know what I mean? So it was some people that was doing bad business, but the people that did it the right way, I don't have a problem with it. And I think they still doing it.
Speaking of the people that were doing it the right way, you mentioned like being in Atlanta. I mean, 28 years in a city like Atlanta, seeing hip hop go from Outkast, South Got Something to Say, to T.I., to Jeezy, to Luda, and then that BMF era. I really want to hear what it was like to see that influx of the money to come into Atlanta when BMF hit.
Well, I always tell people what was funny. Like I said, I'm from Carson, so
Okay.
the Patch is the Cabbage Patch is a neighborhood in Carson, so they're bloods there.
Okay.
It's Cabbage Patch Gangsters, CPG. Blue Da Vinci that's Raz's cousin. Razkaz was our first artist. So I've been knowing Blue for a long time, but Blue lived on the other side of Carson in Del Amo. It called DA 190. They was Crips. And so I hadn't seen Blue for a long time. And one day I went out to a club here in Atlanta and I saw him and he didn't see me. And, I was just joking with him. So I went and grabbed him from the behind. It was like, "What up, blood?" And about 30 dudes stood up.
Can't do that.
And he looked. He was like, "Kurt," he said, "Oh, man, this the homie from home, da-da-da." So then he like, "Man, Kurt, man, I got it popping, man. I got this, I got that. We got a studio. I got 4 riders. I got ATVs. We do paint gun. You need to come by the crib, man, da-da-da." What you do? I said, "Man, we got the biggest studio here in Atlanta. We got the SSL. We got a world class. Man, I'm coming up there on Monday." He came up there, and he booked all that time. And I remember, the first time that they had to pay me, it was probably over like $10,000, right? We sitting in the office and Blue got on the phone and he called and he literally ordered some money. So about 20 minutes, a dude come in there with 2 brown bags, just full of 20s and 100s, right? So I'm sitting there, I count all the money, and that was the first time that I realized that money do stink. Like it got a smell to it. So Blue mad because I'm counting all the money, right? So the next time he come in here, if you come to the studio, I'll show you. The next time he there, he bought me a money machine.
So you ain't got to count it.
In the studio,
Put it in
there's
there.
a money machine. And so anytime they would come in and book, and then anytime he had a session, he wanted to create a vibe like it was a strip club. So he would just throw hundreds all around the floors and stuff like that. And it used to be 30, 40 people every session in there. So it was cool. You know what I mean? It was a little dangerous, but, it was cool.
I need the craziest story of Patch. I need the craziest studio story. I don't need no names because I don't want nobody getting in trouble.
Yeah, we're not indicting people
We're not
on
indicting
news.
But I need the craziest story. One of them stories where you went back to the people and was like, "Yo, don't let him book again." I don't care what the ticket is. Don't let him book again.
when we were recording, probably like in '96, we used to work off of 2-inch reels.
Okay.
And the 2-inch reels, you would need 2 reels to get up to 48 tracks. So usually you can only put 2 songs on them at a time. And it's not like now when you used to be able to email stuff to work on songs. So a lot of times we would get a lot of FedExes with people sending their reels ahead of time. Or actually they had courier services that would drop reels off before the sessions.
Mhm.
So anyway, we had this client that was in New Orleans. And he called and he booked studio time. So if it was on a Monday, he set up his studio time for Saturday.
Mm-hmm.
And he was like, you just played their record. He was like, I'm actually got a song where Goody Mob is going to be featured on it.
Okay.
So he was like, my artists are in town. I'm going to send the reels. They're going to get there on Monday. And I want the artists to come pick them up so they can work on the song. And then we're going to come back and work on Friday. It's no big deal. We did it all the time. So, boom, Monday, he calls me, hey man, and at this time we were moving out of the building we were in to another one, so we were kind of in 2 locations. So he called me to see if the package had got there, and I'm like, we don't have it. Tuesday he called me, did the package get there? Nah, we don't have it. He's like, can you check down the street? I'm like, all right, I go down there, I check, we don't have it. Wednesday we don't get the package. Thursday I'm in my office, and the girls at the front desk, FedEx, the mailman FedEx dude come in, he ring the door. Package for Curtis. And I'm like, cool, sign for it. She was like, he won't give it to me. He won't let me sign for it. I said, girl, please sign for the package. We sign for packages all the time. He would not let her sign for this package. I remember I walked out the office. I was cussing and everything. I signed the package. The dude walks out our front door, the glass door. As soon as the door closed, all the glass broke. And all I seen was rakes and shields and 12 FBI agents rushed in the studio. We had a girl there that was intern to be coming to do an interview. She ran, they kicked the back of her heel, knocked her on the ground. They had these plastic
zip ties.
Yeah, they tied all of us up.
Oh my gosh.
And,
Jeez.
and then they start kicking down doors. I'm like, man, what are y'all doing?
Yeah.
And they was like, you know what's going on? I said, man, what are you talking about?
Boy, just sent that.
He just said, man, you just signed for 3 kilos or whatever he said
Oh.
of cocaine. Yeah, so.
Yeah.
So look, so I'm like, man, please, I don't know what you're talking about. And so we in there, and then the dude calls on the phone. He's like, hey man,
You get
he's like, is my package there? So I'm telling the police, I said, what you want me to tell him? Tell him it got delivered down the street to the new studio. So I tell him it got delivered down the street. So they was like, you gonna have to go down there and meet him. I said, man, if he a drug dealer, he don't know me. You better get another black dude. I'm not doing it.
Right.
Mhm.
So we go down the street, and all the FBI people put on construction gear. They put on belts, hammers, hats. They get on our
this
roof.
Real Deal TV.
They get on the roof. They get on everything. In the meantime, one of my engineers had called and was like, what's going on? I see the police at the studio. The glass is broke. I said, Josh, I can't talk. So anyway, we up there. These dudes is dressed up like construction people. And then Josh pulls up to the facility.
Mm-hmm.
And so he comes in, man, what the heck? What's going on? Well, you better talk to me. Da-da-da-da. Then the dude get a call on the ear and say, the guys are coming around the building. So they grab my engineer, 2 hands, I'll never forget this, grab his shirt, tossed him and said, get the F out of here, right? So he's like, what's going on? So he walks off. They get in line. He walk out. The dude's coming around the building. They was like, is this Patchwerk? He said, yeah, man, but it's some weird ish going on. And they took off. So they never caught the people. So the next day, they made me and Bob, we had to go down to the police department. And this is when we had pagers. Man, they pulled out a pager. They had cloned our pager.
Word.
They took out my phone. They had cloned my phone. They got all our phone calls. And all that week before, we were having phone problems at the studio. We had 8 lines, and they would never bleed into. And I was like, man, when I would be going home at 7:30, it would be a dude on the telephone pole. So they had tapped the studio phone, tapped our cell phones, tapped the pagers and everything. And then so all that, I was pissed off. I'm like, y'all gonna pay. Right. Bob and them like, leave him alone. I said, man, I'm mad. So then
You costing me studio time?
Yes.
My door done broke.
So I'm like,
you
if this
paying
is
for
a dope dealer and y'all done took his dope, he gonna be mad at me. So we tried to hire security.
Yeah.
But no security in Atlanta was allowed to work for us. Now, probably about 6 months later, I'm at 201 Cortland, and I see the dude at the club that sent the package.
Oh, man.
And so I said, man, you almost ruined my life. Man, it wasn't nothing in there, and I just got up and walked off. But that was one of the, you know.
That's how that be though.
Yeah.
I wasn't nothing in there, man.
That's
That was
crazy.
light work.
You would have been fine. So
Now I'll give you a quick. You said no Gucci story real quick.
Yeah.
So we in the studio. Gucci usually have about 25, 30 people.
As he should.
And he have a couple girls that's managing or whatever.
Yeah.
So at one particular time, somebody stole somebody's purse.
Okay.
So they locked the doors. They locked all the doors, right? And so they all go to the front desk. I promise you, it's 25, 30 people looking at the security camera.
Mm-hmm.
Gucci looking. You see a dude with the purse. He took the purse in the bathroom and hid it in the trash can because obviously we don't have cameras in the bathroom.
Yeah.
But they looking at it, and he looked. He said, "That's Buddy right there." And man, they stomped that dude out.
Oh man.
We had to clean up blood off the floor and everything. They beat that dude bad.
How often was
And,
something like that? Like as far as like a fight in the studio?
That sounds.
I mean, we don't. It's not that common for us because we don't have common areas for people.
Mm-hmm.
So say if you on one side, you got your own entrance, your own parking lot, your own lounge, your own bathroom, own kitchen. On the other side, that I think when you see some of these problems is when they may have multiple rooms, but then the clients share a lounge.
Okay.
So I'd be like,
Two different crews.
Yeah, I'd be like, you ain't really gonna have no problem unless you fighting with yourself.
Right.
Yeah.
Like
right.
because nobody else is coming in there except for you and your homeboys or whatever. So for the most part, we didn't have any problems. And typically, for the most part, it ain't never really the artists or the producers. It's usually a homie that ain't used to being in there.
Yeah.
That don't have the right etiquette that would do. Like, why would you steal
A purse.
one of the girls' purse?
Right.
And we got everything on camera. So
Yeah.
when they lock that door,
It's stupid.
So do
Yeah.
y'all have limits in the studio as far as how many people can come in? Because everybody gonna come with
I
a.
don't think you can.
now we basically consider a regular session long as it's under 30 people.
Okay.
Mhm.
If we do like listening parties, like these big listening parties, and it's 150, 200 people, then we consider that a special event.
Okay.
If we do a special event, we're gonna have police, we're gonna have security, we're gonna have valet, and it's a whole different package that comes with that.
What
News and Talk 1380 WAOK Voices in the Streets Unfiltered. If you're just tuning in, we're talking to the legendary Curtis Daniel III, co-owner of Patchwerk Studios. He's telling mad stories. We're celebrating 50 years of hip hop. It's a lot of good things. Austin, you had a question? Go ahead.
No, I was gonna ask. What about age restrictions? As far as like people booking studio sessions and stuff like that. Like if you're in high school and you put the right amount of money to the side, you can book a studio session.
Yeah, we don't have any age restrictions.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, because you were talking about that off air a little bit. Like y'all studio is open basically to the public to a certain extent. You don't have to be tied to a record label
Yeah.
or
Nah, those be people lying to y'all. If they be like, you got to be signed to get in Patchwerk.
yeah.
Patchwerk charge $300 an hour. You got to know somebody. We literally do all of our marketing and all our specials are all geared towards independent artists. And I tell people all the time, yeah, if you come in there, we probably got 200-300 gold and platinum plaques. But if you look at them, a lot of them are the artist's first album. Y'all
Yeah.
didn't know who Jeezy was. You didn't know who Ludacris was. You definitely didn't know who Sierra was. You didn't know who Lil Jon and Youngbloods. Those are up-and-coming independent artists just like the people are now. So we literally geared up for that. And then me, myself, I do free consultations. So if there's ever anybody that's looking or that need information, my prayer is that people find me before they run into the wrong person and
Right.
get ripped off.